Dale's been hectically trying to make changes behind the scenes today, ready for my stream. And although I asked Dale, I've got plenty of time today to test it. There was literally changes being made up to about an hour or so before the stream, so I didn't want to test it mid the way through. Say to you guys, this is what it does, and I come to stream, it does something different. Now, I will remind everyone that it is in testing, it is being balanced. Now, the testers have said that the numbers aren't quite right yet. Some numbers need increasing, numbers need decreasing. It went from one end of the scale being really awful to being massively OP, and it was taking out half of a base, even more so than Ruination. It went mad, but obviously that's going to scale back. But they are still trying to stick to the principle of making it a defensive combiner. They are really stuck on that. So I think that if we're expecting a good God Neptune, another Ruination, I think we're going to be slightly disappointed. But I think if we're expecting something better than Computron and better than Kaiser, better than Skyraid and Galvatronus, then I think we could hopefully think that that's probably going to be the case. But again, we're going to test it regardless and put it through its paces. So, Bullet Train has had a bit of an update. So, unleash a rapid bullet barrage, inflicting 391 to quite 400 damage per second. So, you're talking about 4k damage there or thereabout. And life stealing 20% of damage dealt over 10 seconds. Bullets bounce to 2 additional targets at 80% damage, prioritizing medics. So that's a new concept completely. Each time Raiden is damaged during the barrage, bullet damage increases by 4% up to a maximum of 100% bonus damage. Immune to stun during the barrage. So just sort of splitting this up into sections. So obviously doing the sort of similar damage what I did before in terms of doing damage to targets, but obviously the life steal at 20% means you heal better. Bullets bouncing to additional targets and prioritizing medics is obviously new. I think that could be incredible on defense in terms of against medics, and might sort of like push people to think outside the box a bit. And do they start lately playing medics? Do they start not taking medics? Does it do more? Should it do more against medics? I don't know. The damage has gone up to 4%. I think it was 2% before, so that's been increased. And the immune to stun is simply a counter to Ruination, because obviously right now Ruination can stun the opposing combiners. So the immune to stun is to counter that. Because people use God Neptune Ruination on attack, so it makes sense to have immune to stun for a defensive combiner. Then the 3-star ability is Break Zone, so rush into a target, dealing 4650 damage on impact, so a bit more than the previous one, but obviously it's instant. Create a zone that deals 93 damage per second, blocking, healing, and slows enemy movement, speed and attack speed within by 40% for 15 seconds. During this period, 40% damage taken by the combiner is reflected back. So this is another scary ability, doing 4.5k damage, blocking, healing 15 seconds, and reflecting damage back. Is kind of like having a second Beachcomber. It is pretty scary. Then we've got Last Call. Taunt enemies nearby and grant yourself 50% damage reduction and element immunity for 10 seconds. On death, give your ally and bots short defenses 50% damage reduction and element immunity for 10 seconds. So Last Call I don't think has changed much from it. So it's just the first 2 abilities. So let's just drop Skids down there. We'll drop Raiden. So I think, let's have a look. So obviously need to rush in first. I mean, like, sometimes it will go downwards. So I think we need to use the rush in first. So we'll rush in. Obviously we're using an attack. We're going to check it on defense soon. But on attack, blocking, healing, slowing attack speed, 5% damage taken reflected back, so let's have a look at that. Let's see survivability. I'm rushing into a bit of a kill zone. Let's watch his health bar here. So that's not too bad. Oh, he took a bit of damage there. Given the let's give him the damage reduction. Then let's use the rapid bullets. Let's rush him into another kill zone. You see there, he's healed right back up again. Rush him in again. Doing damage. And again. Again, guys. This is still to be balanced. But I think we can look at where the combiner was just 1 or 2 weeks ago, where I was sat here saying, this is awful, this is appalling, this is almost as bad as Superion, I don't see why I'm just making a defensive combiner, to now all of a sudden having a combiner that's actually OP on attack at the minute. But don't, listen, let's not mince our words, that's going to get watered down. But the thing that I do like about this, I think what sticks us apart from the other combiners is that we have the bullet train, which on defense will lifesteal, it will do damage against medics, it's immune to stun. So we've got that as an option. I think that's a very good option for prioritizing medics and stopping healing. But then we've also got the break zone, which also blocks healing, rather than killing healers, but blocks healing, but slows movement speed and reflects back. So you've actually got 2 abilities that you can use rather than the one. A lot of the combiners we put in outposts that are defensive combiners have one that everyone goes to because that is the most OP on defense. And everything else is irrelevant. Where I actually think we've got 2 choices here. And so when we're actually scouting bases, not only have we got to just look at what combiners in there and go, oh, that's the combiner, that's what they've got in there, and that's that, how to thing it. We've actually got to look at what abilities being used on the outpost bot, or combiner bot. And I actually do like that, the fact that there's different options. Now listen, again, no doubt this is going to get balanced in playtest. It's a bit too OP, we can't have a combiner, let's go take out the whole base. And I think somewhere in between what we had and somewhere in between what we've got, then we'll have a decent combiner. But we've said this is aimed at defense, so let's check it out on defense. So we're going to put a 2-star bullet train on first. So let's try and pop him with light speed first. Let's see how good he is. Again, balance is to be done. Let's have a look. So right now, I think the FX are off. It was targeting off here, but it was actually doing damage to light speed, it seems. So that might need a bit of a change. But doing a decent amount of damage, combiner goes down. So 2-star ability on offense is a lot more, offensive. Let's try the 3-star ability. I think we also need to test this in a bit more of a real environment as well, because obviously we've only got a few resource build and stuff, but I just want to see what he's sort of doing for the time being. Again, I'm sort of testing this at the same time as you guys. So we'll pop him with light speed. Again, let's see what difference this one makes. So he's doing quite a considerable amount of damage there because he's reflecting damage back. So similar to sort of what a Beachcomb would do. So that 3-star ability is quite impressive. So you can see there that's done quite a lot of damage. So again, you got to remember as well that they're not getting hit by any of the defenses there. They're just getting hit by that combiner alone. That is what the combiner's done on its own. So that is quite considerable. But let's test it in a bit more realistic environment as well. Wow. So the 3-star ability still on the combiner in the outpost. So let's go from there. So again, we'll pop the outpost like this. Let's attack it as we would. Let's take it seriously. Let's do Leo Prime over there. Let's do some damage over there. I'm going to put a healing tower down because Jesus, tonight. He's just smashed my team. That was a lot of damage. Wow. So you can see the difference there, that the damage he's done against all my bots, coupled that with the damage from the other defenses, that's some serious defensive power. That's quite considerable. And then we got Beachcomber coming out, that's going to reflect as well. So it's kind of like a reflect meta that's sort of coming in that's going to cause tons of issues. But you get the idea. So let's try the 2-star ability in the same sort of situation. We're going to drop light speed. I'm going to pop the combiner with light speed. Let's do similar. Now, you know what? We probably could say maybe we're using wrong tactics here. We shouldn't really be doing this. But again, we're sort of testing in a semi-realistic environment. So let's do damage with your prime. Take some of these defenses out. You see that bullet train there? Still doing decent amount of damage. It's took one out. One of my bots. Sort of different option again. I think Lightspeed is going to struggle a bit. Knocked down. So I think right now you could argue maybe the 3-star is better than the 2-star, and people might congregate towards a 3-star maybe. But like I said, a lot of balancing to be done. But I think one thing we could actually take from this though is that last week we were talking, I was saying how appalling this is, how such bad content it was, and I was disappointed in it. It could be the worst release yet. And now we're looking at going, you know what? It's actually got some potential. It needs balancing, like any new content. The playtesters are on it. Dale's doing a back and forth. These changes have all come pretty much today. And I'm actually excited thinking, you know, I've actually got a lot of faith that Space8 can turn this around and actually make this combiner a decent combiner, an event worthy of competing in, to go and get it. And I've always said this, and I'm not going to sit here and say to people, you should spend on this game. I'm going to say to you, if you think that the content is relevant, then go and spend. Now, there's a couple of arguments for this. Some would say they're not really interested in defensive combiners. They're more for attack combiners to go and get them points and Zen farming and things like that. I think if you're war focused, it's probably going to be a must have. It's going to be very good on defense. But the question you got to ask is, we go back to that, is it going to be too powerful for mid to low game players? That's the big question really, on how powerful this combiner should be on defense. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Should this combiner be purely defensive focused? Should it be the best combiner in the game in terms of defense? Should it be balanced around attack and defense? Have we got time for that with it only being a week till next week event? But yeah, let me know what you guys think. But personally, I'm quite positive about it from where I was, going from saying that I wasn't going to compete in the event, I wasn't going to bother, to now thinking this might be a good thing to go and chase. What do you guys think?